Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for August 18th, 2025. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. We have WWE Clash in Paris coming up very shortly. There were definitely multiple developments on this episode of Monday Night Raw. Let's break it down. We started off the show with The Vision. This week's Raw was in Philadelphia. Paul Heyman said he is a god in Philadelphia. Of course, ECW head back in the day. He put over members of The Vision. It felt very similar to the promos we've seen over the past several weeks. Jey Uso interrupted, brought up how he tapped out Gunther at WrestleMania, and he is next in line for the World Championship. He took shots at Bron Breakker. They had a match scheduled. Paul Heyman had an idea for a match, and he brought up the history of ECW, mentioned all these names like the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer. He said that he thought Tommy Dreamer was dead, or should be dead at least. And then Jey Uso, he was one step ahead of Heyman. He said that they should do Extreme Rules. And that match was set up for the main event. Jey Uso versus Bron Breakker in an Extreme Rules match. Other than the fact that it was a very similar segment to what we've seen over the past several weeks, it was a good setup for the main event in Philadelphia, Extreme Rules main event. I thought that was well done. Good way to hook people to the end of the show. Backstage, we had Asuka and Kairi Sane apologizing to IYO SKY. Kairi Sane said that they were always there to help. IYO said she appreciated that, but she needed to handle things on her own. IYO went out there by herself for her match against Raquel. Raquel was using her power to dominate the match early. Raquel, she got the upper hand after IYO was tripped by Roxanne Perez. Raquel with the big boot, but then IYO was able to avoid the corkscrew elbow. IYO went for the bullet train attack, but Raquel countered it. And then Raquel did the elbow. IYO kicked out of that. IYO made her come back. She did a tornado DDT. And then she took out Roxanne Perez with a suicide dive. She went for a dive to Raquel, but got caught, sent into the ring post. And then back in the ring, she went for the Tejana bomb, but IYO countered that. And then IYO finished her off with the over the moonsault, got the 1-2-3 victory. Now afterwards, we had a post-match attack. Roxanne attacked her, and then Rhea Ripley made the save. Rhea Ripley and IYO SKY cleared the ring. They have that mutual respect for one another. Another solid match from IYO SKY. Now backstage, LA Knight was confronted by CM Punk. CM Punk felt like until Clash in Paris, they needed to get on the same page and work together against the Vision. But Knight said his problem is that CM Punk is always getting involved in his business. And Punk just said they need to watch each other's backs against the Vision. Backstage, Asuka and Kairi Sane were upset that Rhea Ripley was able to help IYO, but they were told to stay back. IYO was upset. She was yelling at everybody, wanted them to start fighting. She just wants everybody to get along. Asuka told Rhea Ripley to stay out of their business. Definitely feels like we're getting some sort of a tag match set up for the future. Asuka and Kairi Sane against IYO SKY and Rhea Ripley as a team. The heel turn does seem to be coming sooner than later. We had Xavier Woods going up against Penta. Now, Xavier Woods bit the hand of Penta, and then he gave Penta a backdrop on the apron. And then after the commercial break, Penta got the upper hand with a crossbody onto both Xavier and Grayson Waller. I refuse to call him Big G. Penta got him back in the ring, went for the Penta driver. However, Kofi Kingston put the foot on the rope. Penta did a dive onto Kofi. And then back in the ring, Penta hit the Destroyer and got the 1-2-3 victory over Xavier Woods. Next week, it will be Kofi trying to beat Penta. We'll see what happens with that. We had JD McDonough and Dragon Lee in a tag team match against Judgment Day. Finn Balor and JD McDonough against Dragon Lee and Mr. Iguana. Finn Balor tried to grab at the mask of Dragon Lee, and that helped them get the upper hand for a bit. Then Iguana tagged in, and the crowd was hot for this. They loved Mr. Iguana. Iguana did his signature moves. He had his puppet, and he even used his puppet as a weapon. Then we had Dragon Lee tagging back in. He went back and forth with JD McDonough. But then Dominic Mysterio grabbed the foot of Dragon Lee, and Finn Balor was able to take advantage and win with the coup de grace. Match was fine. It was a little bit of a showcase to get Iguana on Raw, and he got the offense when he was in there, and Dragon Lee took the fall. It was fine. At least the tag champs win a match. It was entertaining for what it was. We had a post-match attack, another one on this show. DQs and post-match attacks, very common in the world of WWE. Now, after the match, we had this attack, and we had a save from the AAA champion, Vikingo. He came there. However, Dominic Mysterio took him out with a shot from behind with the championship, gave him the frog splash, and then Dominic held up both championships, and he will be challenging Vikingo for the AAA championship coming up at the next Worlds Collide. They're doing another one in just a few weeks. They had the Triple Mania event this past weekend. Vikingo retained, but now Dominic will get his one-on-one opportunity. And I wonder if they're going to do what I thought they would do for SummerSlam and Triple Mania. I thought AJ Styles would beat Dominic for the IC title, and then Dominic would win the AAA title. And it didn't happen in August, but I wonder now if this will happen in September. AJ beats Dominic, wins the IC title, and then Dominic wins the AAA championship. That's what I feel is going to happen at this point. They're going to do what I figured just a month later. We had Becky Lynch and Natalya. Well, Becky Lynch did a pre-match promo and basically said that Natalya was getting involved in Becky's business and instigated physicality from last week. Becky said she was just defending herself. She called Natalya bitter, said that Natalya has been doing matches in other promotions because she doesn't belong in the ring with Becky Lynch. We had a very odd segment with Bayley. So she's doing this interview and there's a voiceover of herself. She has issues. She's losing her mind. She's hearing voices in her head like Randy Orton. And the voices are telling her she's a loser. She's nothing. And what does she need? Does she need a hug? Bayley is going crazy. And I guess that's what is going to be the setup for the heel turn. She's laughing like the Joker. She is truly going mad. But as Norman Bates once said, we all go a little mad sometimes. We had Natalya versus Becky. Match was fine, although the crowd really didn't seem to care about this one too much. I mean, Natalya's barely utilized at this point. Natalya did put up a good fight, but then Becky sent her shoulder first into the ring post. And throughout the match, Natalya continued to stay in the fight despite the bad shoulder. She had one good arm. Becky managed to take out Maxine and Tozawa. Natalya tried to capitalize but could not get the win. And then Becky did pick up the victory via submission with the disarm her. Did not let go right away. And then she attacked Maxine again. Nikki Bella ran out there. Nikki Bella attacked Becky, laid her out with the Rack Attack 2.0, but no confirmation as to when their match will be. Seems like it's coming at some point, whether it's Clash in Paris or they just do it on an episode of Raw, but looks like that will be Becky's next big match for the women's IC title. Backstage, Sheamus was confronted by Rusev. They got into another brawl, and the officials came out there. Adam Pearce had enough. He needed a drink, and he officially confirmed it will be the final match for these guys. At least I think it'll be the final match. Sheamus versus Rusev, and it will be a good old-fashioned Donnybrook. I'm happy about this. I think this is the right move. These guys have been feuding for a while, and it will be a good old-fashioned Donnybrook. I love it. Paris, this is perfect. This could be a match of the year contender, and I'm not even joking. I know some people might be Rusev in a match of the year possibility, but the crowd is going to make this match. Like, these guys, they've been having banger after banger, but the crowds just don't really get into the matches the way that they should. And I think in Paris, it's going to be amazing. They're going to be red hot. And I'm telling you, this could be a match of the year contender. This is going to be awesome. And the good old fashioned Donnybrook, they're going to go all out for this one. I'm hyped for this. Hell, this might be the match I'm looking forward to the most on this entire show. I agree. I wish Sheamus had his old music back. That's the only thing. If only they could bring that back for Paris. Like, the whole crowd singing Too Many Limes would be an all-time classic moment. Backstage, CM Punk offered to have Jey Uso's back, but Jey wanted to take care of business himself, just like IYO SKY, and he doesn't want to owe anybody favors. This whole thing with CM Punk and favors usually doesn't go over too well. We then had Naomi, the Raw Women's Champion, coming to the ring for her announcement as to why she was not cleared to compete last week on Raw. And they kind of gave this away before her segment. I guess they did this intentionally to get people buzzing about it. But before the segment, they aired a teaser clip. They filmed a special edition of the Stephanie McMahon What's Your Story podcast with Naomi and Big Jim, Jimmy Uso. And they did the little teaser clip. Obviously, with Jey there, he's all smiling. You know where this is going. So Naomi comes to the ring, and she shows the clip, the full clip, and they did confirm that Naomi is, in fact, pregnant with their child. Adam Pearce was there to collect the women's championship, but Naomi said she ain't handing over shit. And she dropped the S-bomb. She told Pierce to get the hell out of her face. She did the goodbye song, and then she said the women's locker room should be thanking one person, and that's Big Jim, because he likes Netflix and chill, if you know what she means. And the crowd chanted, "You deserve it." She was getting choked up, but she kept going with the promo. She said the bloodline continues. The crowd was chanting Baby Uso, and once again, she's wanting to cry, but she's trying to stay as the heel character here. And she said that in 9 months, she'll be back, 9 months and change, a little bit of recovery time post-pregnancy. But she vowed to be back, and she said whoever has the title when she returns better proceed with caution. Great segment here, great promo from her. Congratulations to Naomi and Big Jim on the pregnancy. Happy for them. Of course, not the best timing from a professional standpoint, with Naomi having the biggest push of her career. But as John Lennon once said, life is what happens when you're making other plans. Again, happy for them. And I'm curious as to what they'll do with the women's title. Stephanie Vaquer has that title match. I think they should just do Stephanie against the top contender, whether that's IYO SKY or Rhea Ripley. I do think they should just probably do a title match with your top contenders instead of doing like a battle royal or even a tournament. I guess they could do a tournament where Stephanie gets a bye or something, but I would just rather see the number one contender and then whoever they can say is the number two contender. Like next week, they could do a match, winner faces Stephanie for the vacant title. I like to see them just do a one-on-one match for the title at Clash in Paris instead of like a three-way or a four-way. And no, Gene Snitsky did not appear in this segment or show up after Raw to crash the party. Backstage, Dominic Mysterio was talking to El Grande Americano, and Judgment Day was wondering what that's all about, but Dominic's trying to, make sure he has as many allies as possible. We had our main event of the evening, Jey Uso going up against Bron Breakker in a Extreme Rules match. Jey had this sharp shopping cart, easy for me to say. He had a shopping cart with weapons, and he dumped Breakker over the top rope onto the weapons. Looked like a brutal bump, and Braun was really selling it. Jey had time to pull out a table. He set that up. After the commercial break, Bron Breakker gained the upper hand using some chairs, and he set up the chairs. He dropped Jey onto the chairs. He did the Breakensteiner. He set Jey over the announce table with a trash can, and then he went for a tackle or a spear or something. Jey countered with his own spear out of nowhere, and Braun kicked out of that. Then he went up top for the Uso splash. Bronson Reed pulled out the referee, and then we had our shenanigans, being an Extreme Rules match, no DQ, anything goes here. Bronson Reed was interfering. Then we had LA Knight coming out there, but then Seth Rollins showed up. CM Punk was out there. Everybody was coming out, getting involved. But then Seth Rollins raked the eyes of Punk and sent Punk into LA Knight, who fell off the apron and crashed through a table. Punk and Rollins fought into the crowd and fought to the backstage area. So the match continued. Bronson Reed knocked Jey Uso off the top rope as Jey was going for an Uso splash through a table. Things were not looking good for Jey at this point. Breakker was going to finish him off with the spear, but then Roman Reigns' music hits. Crowd goes crazy. They're singing the Roman Reigns song, which is also the Cody Rhodes song. France, I think, invented that one. We'll see if they come up with some new chants that America can steal after Clash in Paris. Roman Reigns shows up, the OTC one. He spears Bron Breakker as Breakker's going for the spear on Jey. And then Reed gets taken out with a Superman punch. Jey is able to get back on the top after putting Bron Breakker back on the table. He delivers the Uso splash through the table and gets the 1-2-3 victory. This was a fun match, fun main event. And then after the match was over, Reigns told Bronson Reed, "I will see you in Paris." And it was set up as we expected. Roman Reigns versus big Bronson Reed at Clash in Paris. Maybe Roman Reigns can get his sneakers back. But all in all, it was a very good Raw this week. Definitely a step up after the last couple of weeks. The main event was really fun to watch. The Naomi announcement was a big moment. And the show was solid. It was a solid show. I enjoyed it. I give it 7 out of 10. Best Raw in several weeks. And I'm looking forward to Clash in Paris. They got me a little bit more hyped for it with this show. I mean, really, the Rusev and Sheamus match is the one that's really got me looking forward to the show. But Roman Reigns should have a fun match with Bronson Reed. And it's a solid card. We'll see what they do with the women's title situation. But all in all, Clash in Paris should be one of the hotter WWE crowds in recent history, maybe the hottest since Backlash France. I mean, they're returning to France and Paris, so should be an amazing crowd. And on paper, the card is pretty good. Even though I do think a couple of the matches have predictable outcomes, I still think it will be a good card. So that's all I got for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And stay tuned to the NoDQ.com channel for all the latest wrestling news and rumors. We got some international shows coming up, but I'll still be giving my thoughts on them. Subscribe, youtube.com/AaronRiff NoDQ, or go to NoDQ.com/YouTube. Have a great night, everyone. Take care, and I will see you all next time.